amor fuimos traídos, un amor que alas a todos nos dio. Somos jóvenes, somos libres, mentes inquietas, cuerpos valientes. Queremos crecer juntos de las manos, pero no ser una copia. Queremos saber, pero también creer, y queremos amar sin el deber de imitar. Buscamos inspiración, inspiración que entre clases y deberes termina. Perdimos la pasión, pasión por crear, descubrir y ser el cambio.
We are students from the 21st century, with teachers from the 20th century, and an educational system of the 19th century.
And now it's time to make a change.
And us as the students should be the center of the change.
I remember once I was talking with my teachers and with my father at home after that, and then I realized that all the things that my teachers are telling to me are the same information that the teachers of my father tell to him when he was young as well. So how can be like half of a century between us, but the same information? I mean, at that moment it doesn't make sense.
I just think that you need to focus on individuals because everyone's different, and the system we have in most countries all over the world, they just focus on people like 100 years ago, like a norm, and people are not like that anymore.
It's just like our education system is not focused on what the students want to learn, but what they are supposed to know. And I understand that you have to have this system till a certain year, but at some point it has to end. And students should have more freedom to choose what they want.
School and education should teach us to know how to teach ourselves, to give us tools to keep growing after our schooling career is over.
The thing that I started thinking that what is education really and what it means for me. Then I realized, for example, that grades, they do not matter to me because I feel like the thing that matters is what I learn and how well I learn it.
Like, if you have a bad grade, it doesn't mean that you're stupid, it doesn't mean that you don't know anything. It just means that you were unable to answer their question the way they wanted you to answer. I'm unsatisfied with education because nowadays education is not about giving knowledge for yourself anymore, but giving knowledge to succeed in the exams and having good grades.
For me, old-fashioned way of teaching is don't letting the students learn by themselves, but just trying to give them information all the time and just want them to memorize things and write tests instead of really learning useful things.
We and them has to thought that the students nowadays will be the future of everything. So if the education doesn't change in a way, it will never change as well.
It should be fun to learn. You're using so many years of your life doing it, so why would it have to be something so boring and with long days? It should be something fun, something nice you're excited to go to every day, to learn something new, and then know that when you're done, you're ready to work or ready to do whatever you want. No one says exactly what you have to do, but just knowing that you're prepared for what you're gonna do afterwards.
Like, when you have fun, that gives you motivation to continue learning, and that gives you a sense of accomplishment, and it also makes things stick better in your head.
I changed the way they teach us as a group because everyone is a different person. So how can one way of teaching be good for all the students?
The purpose of education is to prepare you for your work life, for your life as an adult, for the real life. So the real life is supposed to make you happy. You're supposed to be happy in what you're doing. But why, as a student, we're unhappy when we're at school? It's when you understand that there's a problem in the education.
Because we aren't taught creative or critical thinking, we really don't want to change anything, because why would we? Because we can't think anything better.
The schools are not just to give some information to the students. They are to give the information and then to teach them how to use it in a good way, of course.
If I could actually be heard by people in charge of education. I would tell them to keep evolving the system that they're using and to build a education system that takes individuals into consideration and doesn't try to make everyone succeed in the way they think success is, but rather make them figure out what they think success is, then help them reach that.
I tell them that money shouldn't play such a big part on education. It should be possible for everyone, despite their background.
Keep improving is the phrase I will tell them. Of course, it will sound really bad from my side just to say that education isn't good nowadays. But then it will be incorrect also just say thanks for everything. You have to thank for the things you receive, but that doesn't mean those things are just enough for something as big as the future of a community, of a society, or of a nation.
What's the use of overwhelming students of work? What's the point of giving thousands of homeworks?
Teachers, they are like a book. They expose us information, but it's the student who get the information. So you can show me many things, but I choose which ones I want to learn. And sometimes teachers forget that the learning process is in the students, not in them. So they should focus more on how students learn and not how to really teach.
I started this project because when I came to Finland trying to escape my own education system, which had me feeling really unhappy and just overall unsatisfied, I realized that I wasn't the only student who had come for this reason. And I thought that was a huge issue. All around the world, students are feeling really unhappy with school, have lost their interest in learning, feel that exams and homeworks are a waste of time, and overall don't feel prepared for their life ahead because they don't have the reassurance that school has prepared them for it. This film is to show the genuine student voice about education and help students realize that they are not the only ones to feel the way they do. And also to start a conversation. We've been using the same system for over 100 years now that we don't know what else to do. We don't know what changes to make or how to improve it. Luckily, there are some great things going on in education nowadays, like there's a whole organization dedicated to finding and sharing innovations in education called 100. There is a wonderful school that dedicates its studies to traveling around the world and learning through travel. And then there is another school that is completely student-centered called Big Picture Learning, which takes the student as they are, takes their passions, takes their interests, and then puts school into it. Now it's just up to the students to keep this conversation going. It is not right for students to feel unhappy at school, to feel unprepared, to lose their interest in learning. If you are feeling these ways, then let's keep talking about it. Let's start talking about it. Go to the 100 website and find an innovation you would like to be implemented into your school. Or make your own innovation. Find new ways. Discover and put a pin on the way that helps you learn the best. And tell your teachers this. We are all individuals, so we should not be learning the same way. But we also need to find a way that can help us all learn together. In the end, education is for the students, so we should be asked about it.
Students could have way more power if they wanted, and part of the system holds them down. How do you lock kids up in a building with a textbook and expect them to solve the world problems out there? And the world, as people were saying today, is changing so fast that you really got to be learning how to learn, learning to be open, learning how to learn new things, and that's not what our school system does. That's how we try to get our students prepared, is by getting them out in the real world. And our goals are, how do you solve problems? How do you persevere? They're not learning some little subject matter. We need students like you that are more interested in learning in general than just taking a test. That's the key of education should be, is how do you get people to want to learn and to love to learn.